Welcome back to today's video. In today's video, we're going to take a look at my prediction for the 2024 election post-Trump assassination attempt. As you get in today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and like the video. We're going to be getting into this assassination attempt in particular, as well as how this will affect the 2024 race, whether or not it will help or hurt Donald Trump. Obviously, it will not hurt him, but we're going to take a look at what my prediction is post this assassination attempt. Let's go ahead into today's video. Back to today's video, taking a look at some general election polling data here, some general election polling data that was released by 538. Now, this is prior to the assassination attempt. You do see some polling data that came out prior to the assassination attempt, showing former President Trump ahead by 3 points and 3 points by the Noble Predicts Insights and the Center Square. You also see some polling data from SoCal Research and On Point Politics there. On Point Politics, obviously the YouTube channel On Point Politics, very good YouTube channel. Go and check their YouTube channel out. His YouTube channel out. It's a pretty good YouTube channel. He does do polling data for the 2024 election. He obviously does fundraise money for that. So if you want to go and support him, make sure you go and support him. On Point Politics. I think most of you guys who watch my channel know who he is. But On Point Politics did release some polls here. You saw that in one poll where it was a Harris versus Trump poll. Trump was tied with Harris in Virginia. Virginia, a critical swing state in this election in particular. It was not a swing state in the last election. In the last election, Joe Biden ended up winning in the state of Virginia by approximately 10.1%, whereas in this election is becoming much more closer in the state of Virginia. For Biden here in the state of Virginia, Biden was up by 3 points. On Point Politics, they released that poll over there. You see some other polls here. Trump versus Newsom. Newsom was up 1. Trump versus Whitmer. They were even. Harris was up 1. Trump was up 1. Biden up 2 in one poll. They were even. And then you see here some other polls with some Biden polls. Biden and Trump polls. Trump was up 1-3, 1-4, 2-2, 4-3-2. Biden was up 3 in one poll that was taken by NBC News and Harris Research / Public Opinion Strategies poll. Biden was up 3, and Harris was up 2 in one poll, and Biden was up 2 as well. So Biden was even, and I believe up 2 as well. So these are some polling data going in to this attempted assassination of the former president. Taking a look at some polling data specifically in the state of Minnesota, because right now I have former President Donald Trump winning in all of these swing states currently, as far as these swing states that a lot of people are putting as being in the swing state column, particularly Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, and North Carolina. Those 7 swing states, that 7 batch of swing states, I am giving it to former President Trump. He is consistently leading in the polls here, but in some polls, he is kind of a little bit behind. If you take a look at the state of Wisconsin, for instance, taking a look at the state of Wisconsin, he's ahead by 2.6%. That being said, he was not ahead by that big of a margin before. If you even go back to around mid-June, he was ahead by only 0.1% there. You take a look at the state of, for instance, Michigan. Trump is not too much ahead in Michigan. He's only ahead by 0.6%. So in Michigan and Wisconsin, Trump is very much tied up with Biden, very much close to Biden. In Wisconsin, however, if you go back to 2020, you could see that Biden actually in 2020, so at this time in the 2020 race, if you go back to around July 14th of 2020, so July 14th, I don't believe you can go that far, but if you even go back to around August or so, beginning of August, you saw Biden was leading by around 6 points. By the time the election arrived, Biden was in the lead by 6.7%, whereas Biden only ended up leading by 0.7% in the actual election. So it's obviously showing that in the state of Wisconsin, the polling data did underestimate Donald Trump by extremely large margins in the particular swing state of Wisconsin. So that is for the state of Wisconsin there. Moving on from the state of Wisconsin, let's take a look at the state of Pennsylvania. The state of Pennsylvania, going into this, obviously, Trump was leading by 3 points there in the state of Michigan. Pennsylvania, we already looked at that there, and then North Carolina as well. North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, Trump is doing pretty well. North Carolina, Trump's leading by 7.7% currently. Georgia, Trump's also leading by big margins. He's also leading by 5.3%. And then Arizona. So really these Sunbelt states, Trump's leading by 6.4% in the state of Arizona. That's even higher than Georgia, which I don't believe that Trump was ahead by 6.7% for quite some time. This is the first time in quite a while. And then also the state of Nevada, which is another one of, I believe, those Sunbelt states. Trump is leading by 5.2%. So you could see that in these particular states, Trump does seem to be doing better. In the state of Minnesota, I do want to take a look at the state. Now, the reason why I'm not using Real Clear Politics. So Real Clear Politics actually has not updated their polling data in Minnesota for quite some time actually, whereas 538 has updated it actually quite a while ago. They updated it on June 13th. And 530, I really believe on point real clear politics. If you take a look at their map here, let's take a look at their map really quick here. All right, let's just open their map here. So if you take a look at Minnesota on real clear politics, currently, Biden is ahead by 3%. The last Hill Emerson poll that was taken by Real Clear Politic was taken on June 20th. Okay, June 20th, which actually was not that long ago when you consider it. It's only about a month ago or so, which for some of these swing states, a month ago is actually pretty recent, considering the fact that in a lot of these swing states, particularly Minnesota and Virginia, poll data is not being released regularly due to the fact that many people are not considering Minnesota and Virginia as being swing states, even though I would consider them in this particular election as being swing states in the state of Minnesota. But as well as 538 has released some polling data as well. 538, the last poll that 538 released was from June 13th to June 18th. So it was actually around the same time. But when we combine some of these polls together, you can see Trump's leading by 1% in this poll right over here. And then another poll, Biden is tied with Trump here. That was taken on June 20th, I believe, June 20th. And then another poll, Biden was leading by 6 points and 3 points, according to Real Clear Politics. In the Minnesota polls here, Biden was leading by 2%. Another poll taken from June 13th to June 18th there by The Hill. You can see that in another poll here with some other GOP candidates, you can see that it was taken on June 16th. Biden was up 6. Now, a couple things should be noted. This was obviously prior to quite a few things. This was prior to the debate, and it was also prior to this attempted assassination. So we do want to keep those ideas in mind there. Now, the poll data that was taken by On Point Politics and SoCal Research in the state of Virginia, these polls were actually taken after, after the debate. Yeah, after the debate. They're taking it on July 6th to July 11th on Point Politics and SoCal Research, taken after the debate prior to the assassination attempt in Virginia, showing Biden ahead by 3% and Harris evening up with Trump. Let's take a look and kind of map out really our electoral map in a sense here and kind of give the states to either candidate respectively here. An incredibly interesting electoral map that we're going to be looking at. Obviously, I want to be taking a look at Minnesota and Virginia. We spent some time on those states because I do believe those states are going to be a really big states that the Biden campaign really wants to defend from former President Trump due to the fact that he has a big possibility of winning in those states. When I say big possibility, I mean he has almost like a 45-50 shot of winning those particular states. So that is for Florida and Texas as well as Alaska. They will go in the likely column. Colorado, Joe Biden will win by a lean margin as well as New Mexico also by a lean margin. The state of Utah will vote for Donald Trump by a safe margin. Let me just go ahead and update the state of Oregon. Oregon will vote by a likely to lean margin. And Nebraska, Donald Trump will win the at-large vote and Maine's first congressional district. In the state of Indiana, Donald Trump will win. In the state of Iowa, Donald Trump will win. In the state of Ohio, Donald Trump will win by a likely margin, as well as Vermont, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, D.C., Rhode Island, Massachusetts. New Jersey will vote for Joe Biden by a lean margin, lean to tilt margin there in the state of New Jersey. In the state of West Virginia, Donald Trump will win by a safe margin. Joe Biden will win in the state of Illinois by a likely margin in the state of Illinois. In the state of New York, Joe Biden will win by a lean margin. So that is for the state of Illinois. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and give Donald Trump here the state of Nevada. The state of Nevada, Donald Trump will win, as well as Arizona, as well as Georgia, as well as North Carolina, Pennsylvania, he will win. Michigan, he will win. And Wisconsin, he will win. All those Rust Belt states there. And we'll take a look at the state of Minnesota, which is also a Rust Belt state. We will take a look at it in a few seconds. The entire Sun Belt, other than New Mexico, Joe Biden. Let me go to update New Mexico. Let me update New Mexico. New Mexico will vote for Joe Biden in the tilt margin. That means under 5%. Okay, under 5% for Joe Biden there in the state of New Mexico. New Mexico will vote for Joe Biden by a tilt margin. Let's take a look at Minnesota and Virginia. Minnesota and Virginia, crucial states here for the Biden and Trump campaigns. Obviously, extremely critical states for either of them to win. These are states that if Joe Biden does not keep a hold of, he has a net zero chance of winning the 2024 election. If Joe Biden loses even one of these two states, he is done with. He is totally done with, and he cannot win the 2024 election. Based off of current polling data, Donald Trump has a very high shot of winning in Arizona and Georgia. If Donald Trump wins just Arizona and Georgia and does not win any of the Rust Belt states, including Nevada, Donald Trump is already at 261 electoral votes. That's obviously, if sorry, I forgot to include this, but let's include let's go ahead and include here Maine there. Maine, let me go ahead and give it to him by a likely margin. There by a likely margin. Maine's first, obviously by a safe margin as well. So let me include that congressional district as well, since Donald Trump has a likely to safe chance of winning in those states, in that congressional district. That puts Donald Trump at 262 electoral votes. He only needs 270 just if he wins Georgia and Arizona. That's excluding Nebraska's second congressional district, by the way, excluding Nebraska's second congressional district. In the state of Nevada, Donald Trump will most likely win as well. So I want to lay out that scenario. Nevada is currently ahead by, I believe, 5.4% in according to the RCP aggregate right now. So tilt margin there, tilt to safe margin, and tilt to light lean margin. So that puts him at 268 electoral votes. Now keep in mind, this is only including the states that he is leading by 5%. So if Donald Trump just wins in the states that he's currently leading by 5% or greater, according to the RCP aggregate, he's already at 268 electoral votes. That does not even include Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, which he is currently leading by a plus 2 point margin. If he wins Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin is already enough, or even Pennsylvania would be enough. Pennsylvania would be better for him, actually. But Pennsylvania would be enough in that particular scenario. He would be at 267 electoral votes if he wins all the states that he's currently at in by 2%. Now, keep in mind the reason why Pennsylvania is such a crucial state for the Trump campaign to win is that even worst case scenario, if they lose Wisconsin, if they lose Nevada, if they lose Arizona, and just win Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania, which they have extremely high shots of winning North Carolina and Georgia, if they win Pennsylvania, it's game over for the Democrats. They're done with. They're totally done with at that particular point. So Nevada and Arizona, as well as let's take a look at some other states here. Let's go ahead and give Donald Trump the state of Minnesota. The state of Minnesota will vote for Donald Trump here by a tilt margin. It's going to vote for Donald Trump by a tilt margin. In the state of New Hampshire, Joe Biden will win this state by a tilt margin, as well as the rest of the Rust Belt states. And I'll go ahead and give Joe Biden the state of Virginia by a tilt margin. I'm not convinced yet to give Donald Trump this particular state, so I will give it to Joe Biden by a tilt margin. But this is my current electoral map. This is obviously, sorry, let me include one more congressional district. Nebraska second as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. I occasionally forget these congressional districts here. Let me include Nebraska second, thereby a tilt margin most likely. All right, so that includes all of our states. We have 0 toss-up states, just to make that a little bit more clear to you guys. But this is the current prediction as of right now. That puts Joe Biden at 215 electoral votes, Donald Trump at 323 electoral votes. It is a disaster for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is doing, frankly, he's doing horrible, guys. Everything that has been happening to Joe Biden and Donald Trump over the last 1 month has just been horrible for Biden. Okay, what first of all, what happened that's so horrible to Biden? First of all, you saw that Judge Machen, he moved Trump's court date, the day that Judge Machen is going to put Donald Trump, give the verdict for Donald Trump. That day, he has pushed it on to September. That's horrible for the Democrats. Now, it might be good, actually, when you think about it, if it happens actually closer to the election, if Judge Machen does rule closer to the election in a negative ruling against Donald Trump, that could obviously hurt Donald Trump. Obviously, Judge Machen could push it over till after the election, but we will see. But obviously, he did push the conviction. Obviously, it's not happening ahead of the RNC anymore, so that's horrible. You saw that Joe Biden lost the debate against Donald Trump, pretty clear. 67% of Americans, according to I believe a CNN snapshot poll, showed that Donald Trump won the debate. You also see that this shooting occurred, and obviously it's going to help Donald Trump. I mean, you can spin it however you want it. I mean, it's obviously going to help Donald Trump. He didn't end up having serious injuries, is what I'm trying to say. Now, we're not entirely sure exactly what type of injuries. He obviously could have a hidden injury that they might be hiding or something like that. That is possible, although he was able to the night after, the same night I believe, he actually got off the plane and he was actually able to walk down the plane. He walked down the plane though with security agents. That being said, but the security agents weren't like holding his hands or anything and things like that. So I mean, he might have some hidden things that might be wrong now, but nothing too major. Nothing too major. So I mean, it could end up going as a sympathy vote for him. A lot of sympathy votes could be possibly going toward his way. Another thing that you could possibly be seeing is that Secret Service might, be protecting him a little bit more safer, which could be good for him in the long run. Obviously, Milwaukee is coming up here tomorrow on July 15th. We're going to see who Trump's VP is. If Trump picks Glenn Youngkin, I will tell you this: if Trump picks Glenn Youngkin to be his vice president, this could put Virginia on the map. Just to put this in perspective, if Donald Trump wins Virginia, okay, Donald Trump wins Virginia, he has a 336 electoral votes. That's a total destruction of the entire Democratic Party. If he picks Glenn Youngkin, that will be the end of the Democratic Party as we speak for 2024. As far as we're concerned, if Trump wins Virginia, it's done with for the Democratic Party. They're done. And they're already going down a downhill slope at this point. They're going down and down and down. It's like it's basically like what worse could happen for the Democrats at this point. After the debate, it was almost like what worse could happen for the Democrats. And now you had the shooting. Okay, like you cannot put this into words. How bad of a month it has been for Democrats. Everything has been going bad for them. According Joe Biden's approval rating in 538 is extremely low. He's in the 30s in approval rating. In fact, if you look at it, at one point, actually, I believe a week ago or so, Joe Biden's approval rating was almost equivalent to George H.W. Bush's approval rating at this particular point in George H.W. Bush's presidency. I believe that was a week ago. I looked at Joe Biden's approval rating. It was almost the same as George H.W. Bush. And if you go back to the 1992 presidential map, you'll know that George H.W. Bush ended up winning, I believe, 169 electoral votes. So complete destruction of George H.W. Bush. And even if you look at the approval rating, Jimmy Carter, at this point in Jimmy Carter's presidency, Jimmy Carter's approval rating was about 3 or 4% lower than Joe Biden. That's all it was. And Jimmy Carter only won around 50 electoral votes. So this could be a very bad position that the Democrats are in. If they replace Joe Biden, this entire electoral map is changing. Okay, it's going to change entirely. And I'll see you in the next video. Obviously, did they have the assassination attempt? So obviously, it was good that it did not actually cause any permanent injuries. I don't believe any permanent injuries. It might be permanent injuries, but we're not entirely sure at this point. But this is my prediction as of right now. As of July 14th, the day before the RNC convention, it's obviously going to be a big next 3 or 4 days. It's going to be a huge event, obviously, and we're going to be covering exactly how Trump's VP pick will implicate this entire election. Write down in the comment section whether or not you agree or disagree with my prediction, as well as whether or not who you think Trump's VP is going to be. Give me about 3 or 4 candidates maybe in the comment section below. That would be pretty helpful. Let's see how right the comment section is. And we'll probably talk about that in about 4 or 5 days. But make sure to subscribe button down below and like the video. Like the video and comment down below. And so make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. It's really helpful if you're able to subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video.